Rich men are very interesting to me because they don't want you to have a 9 to 5, because they want you to be on their schedule. So if they want to travel, you can just up, leave, and travel. But if you have a weird job that allows you to have free time and it's not a normal 9 to 5, they look down on you. Now, yes, if you are with a rich man, they usually fund your lifestyle so that way you have freedom. But you don't usually meet those rich men unless you are also running in a wealthy circle. So how do you make money and become wealthy as a woman if you don't have a 9 to 5 and you don't do an alternative type of job or business? Or of course, if you have family money, but a lot of us don't have family money, so we have to make money in other ways, and not all of those ways are conventional.
I don't like 50-50. I don't do coffee dates. I don't care how much money I ever make. I still want my man to pay for everything. He should pick me up. He should drop me off. He should buy me Ubers. In exchange, he gets to not embarrass me and breathe my air. I think it's pretty fair. I think we're even Stevens. Otherwise, I don't need a man just to have a man. This is for me. For the guys who are mad though, cry about it.
So I work with women who are dating workaholic entrepreneurs, very successful men who like to work a lot. If you're dating this kind of man, then you understand that as a woman, you kind of have to have your wits about you like tenfold. You don't really get away with whining, you don't really get away with complaining or being jealous. Like, it just doesn't fly in that kind of relationship. More so than in like a regular relationship, and this is why. If you are dating an entrepreneur, you're dating a man who has a vision and wants to literally bring something from nothing into something. Like, he wants to create transformation, he wants to create a product, he wants to like make an impact on the world, and to do that, he has to have a very long-term vision for himself and for the people in his life, which has to do with you as his partner. He wants to be with someone who he feels also has a long-term vision for her life and whose daily life aligns with the vision that she has for herself. So your friends, your habits, the activities that you do, the words that you choose to speak, the way that you choose to see things, all of that has to be reflective of someone who has a big vision for her life and is dedicated to it. You just have to take yourself like very, very seriously. So inside of my community, Quietly Becoming, people don't really understand the name of Quietly Becoming. It's like, I just think that growth is meant to be quiet and not like really ostentatious or in your face. That's why it's called Quietly Becoming. Quietly becoming the woman of your dreams is a tagline. Girls who are single, who have dated entrepreneurs, who are dating entrepreneurs, and who are married to entrepreneurs. They will all tell you that they had to level up as a woman in the best way because their partner was now holding them accountable and was showing them new ways to live life. Not necessarily better, but just more like enhanced.
Look, I'm not trying to be a bioessentialist. I'm just trying to tell you how I feel. This is my own personal reflection on the way my life is going right now. Men want women to go 50-50. Men want women to pay the bills around the house. Men want women to pay for their meals, because women can work now. Okay, fine. When I tell you, or like, men don't think that they should have to buy women expensive things, I want an expensive life. That's what I want. I want to live comfortably. I want convenience. I want to be able to see something. Like, I want to be able to go on vacations and buy the things that I want and like enjoy my youth. I want all those things for myself. If a man's not going to give those things to me, I will give those things to me. That's fine. But I'll tell you this right now. The more that I work, the more that I focus on working, the less patience and tolerance I have, the less feminine I feel. And that's another thing that you guys complain about. Oh, women these days, they want to be girl bosses. They're not feminine, You can't have both. If you want me working my ass off so I can give myself the life that I fucking want, which is my right as a human being to want whatever life that I want, I'm not going to be feeling girly pop girl. I'm not going to be feeling all feminine, like willing to drop whatever I'm doing to come see or come go to dinner with you or whatever. I don't want to do that. I can't do that. So at the end of the day, if you guys want these feminine women, if you want women to be in their feminine, you have to provide for them. That's just the way it is. But if you want a woman like the one I'm becoming, who works her ass off to give her whatever she wants out of her life, which is my right, then you have to deal with the fact that I'm going to not be able to make time for you. I'm going to look you in your eye and say, tough shit. You're not paying bills around here. Whatever you say doesn't go, bitch. All right? I'll be there when I get there. I'm not going to be present when I'm with you. I'm going to be thinking about work. All right? It goes that way. And honestly, the more that I work and the more that I focus on working, I'm just not interested in dating. And spoiler alert, sorry to ruin the ending for you, it's a lot better It's a happier life for me. I won't speak for everybody, but I kind of fuck with it. It's much more rewarding. And you know what? The only time that something gets taken out of my hands is if it's on me. You see what I'm saying? If I don't get something, it's because of me. No one can take anything away from me. No one can hold anything over my head. And that's a really good fucking feeling. So, I don't know, this whole loneliness epidemic, this whole crisis, you guys kind of walked yourself into. The reason why women are no longer behaving traditionally is because men are no longer behaving traditionally. Y'all aren't behaving traditionally either. And traditionally, I'm not saying I agree with it, traditionally men were the ones who provided. And that gave women more time, if they didn't have kids and do all that unpaid labor, to be feminine and to be pretty and to not be stressed out. But since y'all want us to work, we're not going to be that way. We're going to be these girl bosses that you so despise. How is it not clicking? How is that not clicking for you?
Men aren't coming to save you. Men aren't out here looking for women to save. If men wanted to come and take care of a woman that had nothing going on for herself, they would just go and pick up homeless women off the street. Men only help women for two reasons. They want to feel like the hero, or they want a prize, and they want to show you off to other men. So if you are not making them feel like a hero, or you are not a prize, men are not going to want to help you. Men are not going to want to come save you. They don't care about you. Men don't help women because they're just such charitable people. They do it for their ego. So, work on being one of those two things. Either you make a man feel like a hero, or you become a dream prize woman that he has to earn and that he knows he has to come correct for. Those are the only two ways that you'll get a man to provide for you.
Women are only able to spot the dangers in dealing with these men when it comes to men of means. Suddenly, when you mention a rich man or wanting a man of means or expecting certain things out of a relationship, suddenly, oh, those men are abusive. Oh, you have to watch out for this man. Those men are controlling and they'll do this, A, B, C, D, E to you. But when it comes to that man on Tinder, when it comes to that local Dusty who is your age mate, suddenly you don't have those same precautions. You don't believe that those men can be controlling and abusive and all the things, when in reality, those men are more likely to unalive you because they literally have nothing to live for. They have nothing except for the basement that their mother provides them to reside in for free. Why is he okay? Why is no one assuming the worst of him, but we're assuming the worst of a man who wants to provide and do things for you, wants to support a family and start a family and do all the things? Women are really backwards, and this is why society doesn't really take women seriously, because a lot of you spew nonsense and talk nonsense and that don't even make any sense. Wouldn't you be more wary of a man with nothing or little to nothing than a man who actually has something to lose? Hello?
I just got a message from a woman and she said, Paige, you talk a lot about the mental load that women experience, but you don't often talk about the mental load that men carry, specifically when it comes to providing financially for a family. And it's interesting because she sent me this message in regards to a post where I said women get very frustrated when men use the term we in regards to tasks they never participate in. Like, did we pack the diaper bag? Did we buy my mom a gift? Did we sign the kids up for soccer? When they know they never did and they expect their wife to do it, and how that leads to the heavy mental load that women carry. And so anyways, that's the context here. So I told her, you know what, you're right. I don't typically talk about the financial mental load of providing for a family because I believe men and women typically both carry this mental load, because first and foremost in our country, most women are working full time. And so they, alongside their partner, carry some sort of mental load when it comes to finances. But also, I don't talk about it mostly because there are huge double standards. When men are the sole providers for a family, they often use that as a reason they don't participate more at home. I don't fold the laundry and I don't sign the kids up for soccer because I'm the only one making money over here. But when women are the sole providers, they are still doing all those things. They are working full time. They are providing a paycheck. They're folding the laundry, signing up for soccer, going to the doctor's appointment. They are expected to do all of those things. And so that double standard is a big reason that I don't talk about about men's mental load when it comes to finances. And also, no matter what the situation, whether or not a woman stays at home, works full time, earns the same as her partner, earns more than her partner, or is the sole earner for a family, she is doing disproportionately more at home. The cooking, the cleaning, the laundry, the kids, all of it. Just by simply being married to a man, she gains more work. And so, no, I don't talk about financially providing for a family as it pertains to men's mental load. Not saying men don't have mental load, because every single person has mental load, but it is different. And there are double standards there. And so saying, oh, men don't need to sign up for soccer because they provide financially is not fair, because when women provide financially, they still have to sign kids up for soccer.
Is anybody else over dating? It's like the level of entitlement that these men have. Not all of you are bad, just saying, but there is something to be said for the majority of you men out there that the majority of us women are putting up with. And yes, I know women can suck too, but let me just say this. The audacity that men feel so entitled to your body just because you went out on a date with them. Like, I'm dating to get to know somebody. It's like they either meet you out to lunch or dinner, or maybe they pay for it, or maybe you go half and half. But whatever the case is, it's like they still feel entitled to your body, and they treat you differently if you don't sleep with them. And I've had it happen so many times where, they think that just because you're going out or something that they're entitled to your body. And that's just not how it's supposed to be. Like, dating is supposed to be a time to get to know the other person. It's supposed to be fun. You're supposed to experience life outside the bedroom a little bit together, before, figuring out if you guys are compatible and you're ready for that. And it just makes me really sad, hookup culture and how messed up that all these guys are. Like, seriously though, the level of entitlement that you feel entitled to my body just because I texted you back and just because we went on a date, like, come on. It's not flattering anymore. It's not flattering. A lustful man does not flatter me anymore. It's the most shallow level of connection that you can possibly have. And I am just done with lustful men. So goodbye to all of you lustful men. I want nothing to do with you. Most of us women don't want anything to do with you. You're making us lose faith in finding a real relationship. And you're making these good men look bad out there. And that's really sad that the majority of the men have to put a bad name on actual good men. Like, I have such bad trust issues at this point. And also just from knowing that all they care about is my body. They don't care about anything else. They mirror me all day long, pretend like they have the same interests. And at the end of the day, they'll throw a hissy fit if you don't sleep with them. So none of it was genuine. None of it was real. And I don't think I ever want to let another guy touch me at this point. Like, I am so done.
I made a video talking about how I don't understand why men complain about women who want provider men when they could just go for women who are down for 50-50, because there's so many of them. And a lot of the comments were saying the reason we're mad is because women want a provider man, but then they don't want to complete their traditional roles. Like, sort of like what do they bring to the table then if they just don't want to do the traditional part? I guess maybe I was in a little bit of a bubble, because in my head, if a woman wants a traditional man, then she herself is traditional, because that's how I am, that's how my friends are. I can admit, maybe I wasn't looking at it holistically and thinking about the other perspectives that if what these guys are saying is true, then unfortunately I agree. If women are going to expect a man to provide for them, they are going to expect that traditional role from a man. Unfortunately, you do have to fulfill the traditional role as a woman. Sure, there will be guys that don't care. Sure, there will be guys that don't mind if you work, but you don't need to work, but they don't mind if you do. But most will probably not be okay with that. And I agree with this. You can be financially independent and still want a provider man. But let's talk about what that looks like. Does that mean your man is 100% providing for you, yet you have a job that's making a good amount and you're only hoarding that for yourself? What's the point of a marriage then? On the flip side, if you are financially independent, you work, your man works, he's providing for you, and you guys pool together your resources, then that's not really him providing for you. You're pooling your resources. So it's like as close to 50-50 as it gets, even if like the amount that you guys are contributing is different. It's no longer like a traditional setup. It is a little contradicting to want a provider man, a traditional man, without being traditional yourself. Most provider men are going to expect those roles to be fulfilled at home. They're going to expect their home taken care of. They're going to expect their kids taken care of. They're going to expect cooking, cleaning, like the classic stuff. Unless you happen to be one of the few women that goes for the super elite rich men who like don't want your money whatsoever and can afford all the extra help.
Being a provider is the bare minimum. Yeah, I said it, bare minimum. Because if you think that paying bills is being a provider, you'd be paying those bills with or without your family there. And if you think that it is okay to emotionally neglect your spouse and your kids because you think paying bills is being a provider, then that's crazy in itself. And if you think it's okay to just walk around your house without picking up or doing anything, then you don't want a partner. You want a mother to mother you. Because if you're an emotionally intelligent man, then you would want to set the expectation for your son or your daughter of what being a provider is, which is being emotionally there and not just paying the bills.
Moving in with a man who's paying all of the rent and all of the bills doesn't benefit you. It benefits him and it disadvantages you. Men by default are draining. They will drain your time, they will drain your beauty, they will drain your energy, they will drain your resources, all whilst being in your prime. Even the best men are high risk and take a lot of work and a lot of energy. Trust me, I have a high value provider man. With having a man will also bring you a lot more labor, whether that's domestic, spiritually, energetically, physically. And labor doesn't just mean cooking a meal or doing some laundry. Labor is also the fact that a woman is connected to source. Women bring men abundance in forms that are unquantifiable. Let me give you an example. Look at that trend that went around on TikTok. That trend where women were posting their men when they first met them in comparison to 2 or 3 years later down the line. Even visually, that man looked like a completely different man. At the beginning, this man looked disheveled, and by the end of it, this man was looking like a model. His hairline had miraculously grown back. He looked healthy. His clothes were amazing. He was well groomed. Everything about him had elevated. And 9 times out of 10, it goes way beyond what meets the human eye. When a man elevates like that externally, you don't know the factors and you don't know what goes into that internal transformation. How he energetically shows up differently in business because of it, how he shows up in life because of it. Women give men a vision, give them confidence, give them a purpose of what to actually work towards. That is what a good, high value, feminine woman does. And that's why you cannot lower your standards. Look at all of these beautiful designer brands. Chanel, Hermes, Dior. All of these brands are basically for women, but they were designed to be created for men to buy women to impress them. If you continue to cater to his needs, no baby, I don't need a birthday gift, I don't need to take that trip, I don't need an anniversary gift, you are being his dream girl temporarily, but in the long term, a high value man needs a woman who craves and demands a life even more elevated than the one he is currently giving her. Remember, we don't live under a rock. We see that beautiful single women can have their lives funded for free in the exchange for giving nothing. So if you are choosing to spend your years, especially your prime years, with a man, make sure you are making requests of him. Make sure you are ensuring an elevated life from him. In the long run, this will serve you and your relationship. He will continue to see you as the woman that levels him up, the woman that keeps him accountable. He's not going to look for anything external outside of you. When you are everything, you are his reason, you are his purpose, you are his why. Don't diminish your needs to accommodate his. A man who is a high value man, who is a true provider, will not just pay the rent and the bills. No, he's also going to be investing into your business. He's also emotionally available. He also is not a slave to his desires. He doesn't lust after other women out of respect to himself. He knows that he is golden, that not every woman deserves his attention. No one apart from his woman, his queen, deserves his attention. He will put that money into your spending account, into your saving account, into your investment accounts. He will want to watch you flourish, and he will want to be the one to get you there. His main goal is to see you have your life on mode easy. Obviously, the broke men don't want you to know this. So in the comments, they're not going to like that you are learning about this. But remember, know your worth. You cannot end up with less if you just do not settle for less. A man who is a high value man will love who he is when he is with you, and he will feel privileged to do these things for you.
Men, the number one trait of a good woman is not what you think it is. It's not sexy, it's not exciting, but it makes her a good woman, and good is what lasts. It's not looks, it's not success, it's not money. It's gratefulness. And she's not grateful because you buy her a bag or take her out to dinner. She's grateful because that's who she is at her core. It's because of the things that she's been through in life. And let me clarify, there's a difference between being grateful and being thankful, although they both overlap. So being thankful is more about a moment. Thank you for the coffee, thank you for dinner. But being grateful is a state of being. It's not reacting to just one situation. It's living in a state of awareness that nothing is owed to you and everything is a gift. So an example is, I'm thankful for what you did. I appreciate what you did. But being grateful is I appreciate who you are and what I have, even if it's not perfect. So don't be fooled by these thankful women. They can thank you for the bag, but they can still walk around entitled and bitter and unsatisfied. Whereas a grateful woman, she carries around a consistent spirit of appreciation, and it shows up in how she talks and how she treats people and how she responds to life. But this is where most men get it wrong, because they attach themselves to ungrateful women because it boosts their ego. They see it as they're earning something when they can get her to crack a smile because they bought her something and they finally made her happy. It feeds their ego when they can finally get her to appreciate them. But the truth is, you're never ever going to satisfy an ungrateful person, ever. You will keep spinning your wheels and bending over backwards, investing all your time and your resources and your energy to make this person happy, and you're going to come up short every single time. And the sad thing is that you will not leave. You'll stay stuck. You'll stay because you're too afraid to leave, and then you'll end up becoming unfaithful.
This is the reason men have to pay the bills. Like, being a provider is the least they can do. Because the amount of things that women go through that men do not go through is quite literally unfair. That's the only way to balance it. Number one, the period cycle. This is a monthly evolution of ever-changing hormones that we cannot control. Sometimes we have too little, sometimes we have too much. Progesterone, estrogen, we just can't control that. Cortisol, up and down. It is radical, all while we're expected to manage those emotions and be productive members of society. And then the period that so graciously shows up every month. And don't get me wrong, for those of us that don't want kids, we are so ever so thankful that it shows up. But that does not negate the fact that sometimes it's brutal. Chunks of blood, staining of the chonies, staining of the pajamas, bloating and fatigue, extreme discomfort, and some women even have crippling, debilitating cramps. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Then there's carrying a child, and that changing your entire chemical makeup, because once you form a baby with somebody, then you have their genes or whatever inside of you for like a prolonged period of time. Now y'all forever connected, forever changing who you are. Then you carry this whole ass human inside of you. And sometimes it's not very nice to you. It makes you sick, lose sleep, has you eating crazy things, and looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Something that your body never really recovers from. Then it comes out and we're left with the aftermath of what's left. So then we breastfeed the kid, give it life, and literally end up with raisin titties and raisin skin, and there's nothing we can do about it. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But in that time period, what do the men go through? What in life changes for them? And then let's say things don't work out with the father, right? Why is it that the mom is automatically expected and seen as the one person who takes on the entire responsibility of the child, like the default parent? But the dad could disappear, do whatever, see the kid every other weekend, and then everything is left to the mom. And even if that's not the case, even if they're still together and the mom goes back to work, because if you're like in a state like California, more than likely both people have to work to make a decent income to be able to live, she's still the default parent. She's still the doctor appointment parent, the school parent, the drop-off parent, the childcare parent, the one that wakes up in the middle of the night with the child. Like, what do? Snore. And women are damned if they do, damned if they don't. If she's a stay-at-home mom, people are quick to look at her and be like, oh, that's all you do. Do you know how hard it is to sit at home and your only interaction be with a child all day? It drives you literally insane. Yes, it's a blessing, but is it more exhausting than having a job? 1000%. You could not pay me to stay home and be a stay-at-home mom. Women who are basically forced into that role because obviously she's the mom, so she becomes that default parent, and sometimes it wasn't something that she actually wanted, but she may be forced into that because of finances. Childcare may be too expensive, they're spending too much on diapers, formula, and etc. So now she's given up everything that she once dreamt of being, her vision for her life, to be able to raise this child so that their home can be okay, because it's just too expensive to do anything otherwise. So basically the woman sacrifices her dreams. And she wasn't just made, like, not all women are just made to just be moms. Some people are made for more. They have more purpose than just that. You know what I mean? And then on the flip side, there's women who are super independent, who are super girl bosses, who do the damn thing every single day, but then they get judged and side-eyed, because then it's like, oh, your career, and what about your family? Or you're not being in your feminine role. And it's like, no matter what, women don't win. And this rant is going to make a whole lot more sense to you guys right now, because I literally just got my period today. So yes, I'm on a rant, because it's just not fair. This is why men need to pay the bills and just not ask any questions and just be providers, because this is just too much. This is just too much. I literally, here's my chocolate, okay?
And someone explain to me what it is that men get in return for being a providing man. I'm talking about the men that show up emotionally, physically, financially, and never complain because they take pride in providing for the woman in their life. It actually makes them feel good to see the women in their lives happy. What do they get in return other than these narcissistic, nagging, controlling women? These women will put everything on the internet. Outfit of the day goes on the internet. Relationship in trouble, go to the internet. Dating advice, go to the internet. Horrible dating scene, go to the internet. What is it that these women are giving in return if they don't want to cook, they don't want to clean, they don't want to have children, they don't want to give anything in return other than simply existing and looking pretty? And the majority of women are not even attractive enough to be having a laundry list of expectations. Let's just be fucking for real. You take off the filters, you take off the Botox, you take the lip filler away, you take the lashes away, you have not an attractive woman. Or at least not a 10 out of 10 like these women have their inflated egos. So you get to be treated like shit. You get to be called narcissistic. If you have money, she's going to call you broke. She's going to pretend that she's like this victim, but behind the scenes, you're providing for her while she sits on her phone and seeks attention from other men. So tell me, what is the incentive for these men to continue to provide for these women who do nothing but shit on them all day long? And then if they actually decide to commit to these women because these women love to put on a show and know how to fake a good personality to get the ring or get the bag, then he actually runs the risk of losing everything that he worked so hard for. These women are not worth paying for submission. So make it make sense. What is it that incentivizes a providing man to continue to look for a good woman? Okay, bye.
The amount of men that are broke, don't want to be providers, or spend their money to take a woman out to nice places, what do you want then? Do you even like women? Maybe you should be dating men. These types of guys are wondering what they're getting in return when they're getting her presence. Women can afford their own dinner. They don't need to be there, and they don't understand. There can only be one princess.
Now, I love me a nice sprinkle kiki, but I am genuinely terrified for younger and impressionable women in our society who run with the whole sprinkle provider male mentality, and that's literally all they're searching for in a potential suitor. I watched the Trophy Wives video, and as a mom myself, my heart absolutely breaks for her and her family. But I love that this has sparked a conversation about the detriments to the sprinkle mentality, the provider male mentality, and just things that we as women need to be careful and look out for when choosing to date with a hypergamous mindset. Provision does not start and end with finances. A man providing for you financially is truly the bare minimum. And I think that's why as women, it's so important to develop yourself financially, emotionally, spiritually, because I think that gives you the clarity to really see that like financial provision is the bare minimum that I could ever ask for from a man. How is that man protecting me spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically? Is he a man capable of providing the fatherly characteristics that I would need for my children? I think the problem with this sprinkle thing is that a lot of women are dating out of desperation. And when you date and marry out of desperation, what you see, you see. For my younger ladies out there, Louis is not worth the detriment to your mental health. Louis is not worth the devastation it can cause to your children and your children's children. The man you choose to partner with will either propel you further into your destiny or hold you back and truly be the cause for your destruction. Choose wisely.
Okay, so I wanted to come on here and talk about something. I was scrolling through TikTok earlier and this guy asked a question. And the question was, ladies, if I fly out to you to come and see you in your city, who pays for dinner when we go out to eat? Why is that even a question? Why? The man pays, okay? Men. Be a man, okay? I know some of you trolls with the freaking feminine energy are gonna come at me in the comments. No, that is not how it works. When you go on a date, you take a woman out on a date, you pay for the bill. Like, I don't even know why this is even a topic these days. Like, with this generation, like, you know, is he gonna ask me to split the bill? Should I offer to pay? Because yesterday when we went out, you know, he paid. Like, what? Like, why does that even have to cross like our mind? You know, times I've gone out on dates in the past, like when my boyfriends, you know, at that time were taking me out on a first date or whatever, it never even crossed my mind. Like, oh, I wonder if he's going to ask me to pay, or I wonder if I should offer. Like, no. Men, just be men, okay? If you guys are going to take a woman out to dinner, you pay. That is just how it works. And yes, if you fly out to come see me, like I said, I appreciate it. Thank you, you know, for coming. I'm glad you're here. Let's go have a good time. But no, you're going to pay for freaking dinner. And this has nothing to do with being a gold digger, blah, 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 whatever. I make my own money. I have my own business. Yes, I could afford to pick up the tab. It's not what I'm talking about, okay? Men, you take women out on a date, you pay for it. It's that simple.
I was talking to one of my guy friends about what it means to him to be a provider, to provide for a woman, and he's a little older. He's in his late 30s, and of course he wants to provide financially, but ultimately it's not just that. He was like, I want to make her life easier. I literally want to take away her problems, her worries, so that I can say to her, what are your dreams? What are your passions? Now I'm giving you the ability to pursue your dreams and your passions because I'm covering you financially. I'm taking away your burdens and your problems so that you can do what you want to do with your life. Like, that is what we want.
I'm 21, I've never had a boyfriend. I look like this. I had my first kiss at 20 years old. And you think I care that you have money or a six pack? That's fucking hilarious. That is literally a joke. I don't care if you're gonna fly me out and give me like, you cannot impress me with that. First of all, I shouldn't be paying for shit anyways. That's like a given. I'm a woman. I should not have to be worried about money or working or any of that. I'm literally a girl. I'm just a girl.
A lot of guys emphasize that women like men who can protect and provide. There's certainly some truth to that, but I think a lot of men don't understand what we mean when we say that. When I say I want a man that can provide, I mean like I want a man who can notice that we're running low on milk and picks him up from the store without me having to ask. Providing can be cooking dinner when I have a busy day. My man makes me feel provided for when he fills up my water cup while I'm sitting on the couch. He provides peace and structure in my environment when he cleans up around the house. He provides me with emotional support, connection, and friendship. I feel really provided for when he plans something, like when he gets reservations somewhere or he plans a trip for us. Protecting is huge, but it's almost never from physical harm. Much bigger and more common ones are protecting my peace and protecting my dignity. Sticking up for me and advocating for me when I'm not able to. Advocating for women in general, because that includes me. If my in-laws are trying to plan something and he says, hang on, let me check my schedule, and he checks in with me without blaming me, like that's him protecting me. A lot of men think of protecting as like jumping in front of a bullet for me. But most men will never have to protect their wives from a bullet. My husband's only had to investigate a loud noise in the night like twice. He protects my peace by unloading the dishwasher all the time. And of course I protect him and provide for him as well. I don't badmouth him in front of my friends. I provide and plan things for him as well. It's actually funny because when I think of protectors and providers, like that's usually women. Women have been providing just as much as men since the beginning of time. Women protect like nobody protects. Mothers protect like nobody protects. The only men who have like protected and provided for me are my husband and dad. But like countless women have protected and provided for me. My aunts planned bridal showers and the random lady on the subway protected me. It's actually rare that men protect and provide. And it's crazy that women never get credit for it. Regardless, for most of us, that's protecting and providing. I'll die for you doesn't really mean anything. We need you to live for us.
The sad thing about provider men or men who have a provider mindset that people don't talk about is that a lot of the times it's actually a trauma response. Like it is rooted in trauma in the way that they were brought up as a kid. These are typically men who, when they grew up, they had to be a parent to their own parents. Like they had to take care of their own siblings. Nobody else was taking care of them or watching out for them. So they had to work super hard to take care of themselves and take care of everyone else around them. Which is why when you meet a guy like that, like you got to be extra careful not to let him do everything under the sun. It doesn't mean you have to provide the finances. You guys can contribute in different ways. It just means that you also need to meet him halfway and be an excellent partner to him.
If he says, I don't mind providing, if you stay home to cook, clean, and take care of the kids, then honey, he minds. That is not a provider. That is a traditional man. It makes me really sad when I see girlies think that they found a provider just because he's offering financial support in the future. Like I hear things all the time that's like, oh, he's gonna make partner one day so I can be a stay-at-home mom, or he's gonna retire me when I have kids. They don't understand that his financial support is in exchange for household labor, whether or not she's happy doing it, because he's now financially providing. That's why a lot of women say to avoid this, because you become financially dependent and that's not a good spot to be in. But I want to make this very clear. These kind of men are not providers. Providing is not just about money. Provider is someone who's considerate enough to ask their partner what they need and they're committed to providing that for them. So let's say she wants to stay at home to cook, clean, and take care of the kids, and she's happily doing so. Fine. But if one day she doesn't want to do that anymore and she wants to go back to work, or she wants to start her own business, or she wants to pursue her hobbies, a provider is someone who is fully supportive of her. So if he's negotiating with you that he will only provide when you guys have a family and you guys have kids, and he's not doing anything else to show you that he wants to do things for you, then run, baby girl, run.
If you're embarrassed to say that you want your man to provide for you, you need not to be. The simple reason is because, at least for a certain amount of time, if you want a family, you need him to provide for you. And if you meet men and they're not mature enough to understand that, then it's probably better you're not with them. If he's into this 50-50, we provide together paradigm of reality, then he can have that. But you need, as a woman, if you want a family, protected motherhood, which means in the time when the children are small, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if those children are going to be born and need care all the time. Well, they're definitely going to need care all the time, but you don't know how long that care is going to be. You don't know how independent that child will be raised to be. You don't know how you're going to feel about your children going into care. You don't know any of that stuff. So you cannot tell a man once you meet him that you will definitely put your children into care and that's fine by you. That's why you don't need to act like this woman who's going to be 50-50 and all these things. If you want a family, be brave enough to tell men that you want him to provide. It doesn't need to be a luxurious lifestyle. It doesn't need to be a crazy amount of money. But in the time when you have small children, you guys need to be able to live on his salary. What does that mean for you? I'm not sure. How much money is that for you? I'm not sure. But you need to be realistic and you need to be in your feminine about that. You need to say that openly and honestly, so you don't get stuck with a man who expects you to work and raise your children and have your children and be the one who's taking them to care. It's very simple. And you're going to tell me a lot of adults cannot afford to live on one salary. Can they not? Or do they have expectations of a different lifestyle? Can they not? Or maybe they're not in a position where they can provide. It's all about choices. But I'm telling you, when you have small children, the mother needs to be there for them. And you need to plan for that. So don't be embarrassed to say that you want a husband who provides for you.
I feel like I'm about to ruffle some fucking feathers, but this needs to be said. In this economy, it is borderline unrealistic to expect your man to be able to pay for all of your bills. But he should be trying his fucking hardest to provide for you financially and otherwise. My boyfriend and I are both in our 20s. We live in Los Angeles, and as much as he tries, there is no possible way for this angel of mine to fully pay for all of our very expensive California ass bills. But he provides for me in a million other ways. He pays for all of our dates, every single one. He buys me flowers at least once a week. Every morning he is up before me, feeds our cats so that I don't have to get bothered, and has an iced coffee ready for me by the time I wake up. I've never once opened a door for myself in the whole time that we've been together. At this point, I don't even know how to drive a car anymore because he will take me everywhere I need to go. If I'm going out with my friends, he'll be my personal chauffeur because I am terrified of getting into an Uber alone. When we're at the gym, he will run and bring me whatever weights I need so that I don't have to lift a finger outside of my workout. And that extends to every part of my life. If he's around, he will bring me whatever I want or need so that I don't have to move or stop what I'm doing. A man is obsessed with me, lives to make me happy, and financially supports me within his means. There are so many impressionable girls out there watching these videos of women saying that a man is only a man if he pays all of your bills, and that is just not the case. I've known many men who will pay for everything but then turn around and treat their woman like shit in every other way. That is not a man. That is an angry fucking wallet. Having a partner financially support you is a privilege. And I'm honestly thrilled for the girlies that get to experience that. But at the end of the day, that's just not a possible reality for everyone. Point is, financial support is not the only thing that equates to a good partner. And you do not need to break up with your man because someone on the internet told you to.
A lot of times, guys kind of complain about how there's so much pressure put on them. But in reality, the thing is that when they get into an intimate relationship, especially with a woman, she enters his world. She becomes part of his team. So that's why the man is the leader. He sets the standards for the relationship. And so if the man has a growth mindset and continues to grow and improve himself, more than likely the woman is going to fall in love with him more, and she's going to do everything in her power to meet those standards and to make sure that she's able to maintain and keep up in the relationship.
Unpopular opinion, but ladies, you want to be submissive to your man. You may not agree with what I have to say, but hear me out before you chew me out. You see, in today's day and age, there is a negative connotation tied to the word submission because we have these bum-ass guys who expect their girls to respect them, let them lead, take authority over everything while still treating them like an object. Those are not the guys that you submit to. That's not what I'm talking about here. But if you think about it, a woman in her feminine energy will naturally want to submit to a man. Why wouldn't you want a man to do his role? Which his role is to protect, provide, lead. A woman's role is to nurture, provide comfort. And when you look at it from this perspective, a healthy submission is mutually beneficial. And people believe that submitting means the man has the final say and that your word doesn't matter, but that's just not the case. True man will value your opinion because it holds weight. I want you to think of submission to a man like the vacation that you deserve. Let him plan the date. Let him pick out the outfit that he wants you to wear. Submission is easy when there's someone to be submissive to, just like a man will love you if there is someone to be loved. I don't care what you have to say. Most women that I have come across are extremely loyal and submissive. They just need the right person to bring that out of them. It's biblical. God said it best. Man first, then the wife. Can't tell me otherwise.
It's not that we as a society have forgotten how to have relationships. It's that women have woken up to the fact that a relationship most likely means a life of servitude and unpaid labor. Because nowadays, being in a relationship for a woman means doing all of the cleaning, doing all of the cooking, doing all of the house managing, the grocery shopping, the planning, everything. If you have children, it's raising the children, but then it's also on top of that going to work and providing 50% of the bills, or 40%, 30%, who cares, you're still doing it. While men really think that their share is just going to work and coming home and providing half of the bills. Society has tried to trick women into not wanting the single woman with cats life, but if you notice, if you really take a look at women who live alone with cats, you notice that they are not spending their life taking care of other people, including a grown man. But oftentimes as women, we bring children into the world or get married and end up in these situations before we have lived life long enough to realize, like, that's actually not a scam. Living alone with a cat as a woman, that's not a scam, that is freedom. That is freedom. That is the freedom to live your life as your own. That's why women are now saying, if you're not adding to my life, if you're not bringing something to it, if you can't put me in a better place than I already am, then what do I need to be in a relationship for?
A few days ago, a guy told me that I have completely unrealistic expectations around dating. And here's why this is a good thing. The reality is, most people are deeply unhappy in their relationships. This is because a lot of us enter them thinking that somebody else is going to make us happier or heal us in some way. And then they kind of become more like wound mates rather than soulmates. And relationships bring a lot of pain, and we kind of have to learn the hard way. But I have spent my life getting out of hardship. When you're deeply aligned with your soul's purpose and your path, and you don't resonate with deep pain and suffering, then there's truly no need to ever settle, especially when you're making your own money. This is why I'm so passionate about helping women become abundant, because it automatically elevates our standards in dating. So yeah, I don't want to be a part of reality if a lot of reality is suffering in relationships. I want to be part of the smaller percent where people have an extraordinary relationship. It contributes in every facet of their life. We want to stay out of touch with reality as much as possible in this matrix. So keep your standards unapologetically picky, and let's normalize having extraordinary relationships. Okay, love you, bye.
So a man says he wants a fit, feminine woman. He gets called shallow. But when a woman says she won't date anybody under 6 feet or without money, that's somehow okay. This is why men are frustrated. Women expect men to meet every single one of their standards, but the second a man dares to set his own, suddenly he's toxic, insecure, or a bad guy. Think about that double standard for a second. Men get shamed for wanting feminine, respectful, high-value women, but women get applauded for demanding tall, rich, and perfect men when they don't even take care of themselves as well or look like they deserve a type of man like that. That's not equality. That is hypocrisy. And here's the truth. Men, you are allowed to have your standards. Wanting a woman who respects you, takes care of herself, and brings real value to your life doesn't make you shallow. It makes you smart. And women, if you can't handle that, the problem isn't the men's standards. The problem is you. Stop being nasty. At the end of the day, relationships only work when respect goes both ways. Men, do not drop your standards out of fear or annoyance. And if you ever want to go deeper on this, I've got resources linked in my bio that can help you out. And of course, if you enjoy this type of content and want to support me, click the link in my bio. Every bit helps me keep making videos like this.
A lot of you women, men have to be at a certain level in life and earning a certain amount of money, look a certain way, achieve a certain amount of things before you start consider them or even look at them sexually. Even look at them to say, okay, I will have sex with him, I'll have a relationship with him, introduce him to your friends, go out with him to dinner or whatever, no matter how hard they try. But you don't have to be on a certain level or look a certain way or at a certain level in life for them to start giving you their money. As soon as you start talking to them, you start telling them how much bills you have, how much credit card debt you have, how your kids want this, you want that. We need to cut that shit out. Sometimes we have to start with a man from the level that they're at and we build to.
Have y'all ever noticed that men are always taught how to treat a woman properly, but women are never taught how to treat a man properly? In fact, women learn what to expect from men, but men never learn what to expect from a woman. I don't know. It's food for thought.
The most toxic expectation women have of men, expecting him to relate to feelings the way a woman does. Men have a completely different relationship to feelings than women. They don't trust feelings. They trust facts. It's not how men operate. For a man, it's more about what he values, what he stands for, what facts he trusts. So instead of asking a man how he feels about something, ask him what he thinks. You can learn a lot more about a man if you ask what he thinks rather than what he feels, because he can relate to that word, thinks.
Oh, like we have to provide, we have to pay, and we can't hurt their feelings. They're men. They're men. They're not babies. I am raising my 2 sons to be providers. And I told you guys the story about my friend because I told my son, my 16-year-old, Because he was like, Mom, what if like I'm out with a girl when I'm older and she wants to pay? I said, get angry. Like slam the table and be like, no. And then throw the money on the table and walk out. If she's your woman, she won't do it again. And if she's not, then she's a feminist and you shouldn't be dating her in the first place.
Women expect men to communicate with them, and then they give them the silent treatment. Women expect men not to use them for sex, and then they turn around and use them for money. Women expect men to be soft with them, but women won't be hard when times are tough. Women sure expect a lot.
I'll say this, and I know I'm gonna get like a lot of people gonna say I'm a lot of pick me energy from me, but I think it's funny that from my experience of seeing, a lot of women expect a man to pay all those expenses and live at home with their mama. Don't got a car.
Yeah, that's definitely
Got a minimum wage paying job, and be mad when a man don't want to provide them $3 for them to get their hair, nails, and feet done.
Some of us women need to accept that to get a good man, we are going to have to go 50-50 financially in our relationships. Ladies, I know you're mad. Stay with me, please. Please do not let this ridiculous social media narrative fool you. This narrative that men have to have it all together and have to be able to pay for your whole lifestyle, a luxury lifestyle at that, before they are worthwhile human beings. Because honestly, that mindset is trash and it's not realistic. And I'm not saying this because I can't get one of those men. Because A, very few of those men exist. B, the ones that do exist are not accessible to a lot of women. And C, at that level, those kind of men often tend to be super, super entitled, disrespectful, and really see women as commodities to be used and traded. And the reality is a lot of men at that level are headed to jail at some point. Maybe not today, but at some point in their life, either through the way they got the money or the way they used the money. For most men, the majority of men, they are pretty much in the corporate or the business world where they're growing their own business. And these men are either in the point of their life where they're growing their career or growing their business. That does not happen overnight. Especially if you are doing things legally and by the book. And ladies, if you want a man that you want to build a life with and start a family with, I would encourage you to get with a man who is doing things pretty much legally and by the book. And the truth of these kind of men is you do not start, your career or your business and make a lump sum tomorrow. That is why I think it's the top 1% starts from like 100 grand. So outside of that top 1% is 99% of men. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make a large amount of money. So even if you meet a man in his 20s, in his 30s, even in his 40s, he might not be there yet. And in reality, as long as a man is trying, there is nothing wrong with him not being exactly where he wants to be. There is also nothing wrong with you getting your bread up and you working towards being a 1% earner, if that's what you want for your life. Because I'm sorry to say, ladies, a lot of us are sitting out with our hand out, waiting for a meal ticket, waiting for a man to fund our life and our lifestyle. It is really important as a woman who wants to be part of a successful relationship and possibly family to understand the concept of partnership. And it's really unfortunate because I think the narrative is that women have made it seem like if a man is paying all your bills, you're special. And if a woman doesn't have a man paying all her bills, she's less than. No woman is less than you because she understands that she has to contribute to her life and her lifestyle. Real wealth and real stability in a relationship comes when everybody knows they are covered. So your man should also operate in the mindset that he knows that if he's trying, because you should only be dealing with men who are trying to self-improve. So if he's trying and he has times where he's down, you are going to be there as his partner and his love to cover him and support him. On the other side of that, knowing that you're a woman who is loyal and will support him as long as he's trying, when the success does come, when the riches do come, he won't have any qualms about sharing that with you and making sure you enjoy it just as much, if not more, than he does. Now, am I saying go and pick up a broke man? No, but understand that men are just not always going to be up. Life happens to everybody. And in my current relationship, I am enjoying the comfort that comes with having a man who is doing well for himself. However, I fully understand that if his situation were to change and he needed my help, that I would need to and would happily step up financially because I am not a child. I am a partner in this partnership. I strongly believe, and I could not be any stronger in the belief, that women should have their own finances. I really detest this era we're in of women coming on and saying, this is how I spend my day as a stay-at-home girlfriend or a stay-at-home wife. because it only shows one side of the coin. And a lot of stay-at-home girlfriends and wives, not all, are being abused in some way, shape, or form. Let's talk the truth. They are either financially abused, emotionally abused, physically abused, and all of that connects to control. They are heavily controlled by these men because these men control the finances. And if someone controls the finances, they control your movement, they control your decisions. You are an adult, and it is not safe to be dependent on another adult for your freedom of movement. Now, obviously, I understand that is sometimes unavoidable with things like, pregnancy, child rearing, etc. But that's why you have to be very careful about the type of men you pick and not pick just based on finances. And let me tell you the truth, you're only going to get that type of man if the care and love is mutual. I generally do not know that where this fairy tale of a man is going to work so hard to get all these riches and, really build and create a life for himself, then pluck a lucky winner out of nowhere and invite her into this lifestyle with him for the rest of his life. Which men are you lot seeing? Because look around, that is not men's mindset. Men feed you and expect you to off your pant. You think a man is going to share his riches with you? What? Because you're pretty. The only women you see that live this kind of lifestyle with these men are the women that they came up with, because they know that those women are going to be with them when they're down, because they have been. Those women are going to support them because they already have. So as a woman, you need to be able to show a man that, yes, you expect his love, his support, but you are also willing to do the same mentally, emotionally, and financially if needed. These men of today, and I guess every day, but now we've got social media, they understand that women can be bought. And women, we need to stop moving as purchasable commodities. A man should never be able to buy you. Your presence should never be dependent on a man's finances. Because in reality, women are whole and complete people with really strong brains that if we want to bring our brain and our thought process to growth for either helping a man or helping ourselves, we can go really far. So why would you want to be a woman that's lucky enough to find a man who's going to share with you? Because that's a risk. Instead of being a woman that's helped contribute to building, because then you actually have an equity stake. Because yes, looks are great, but we need to bring way more value than looks. Our value needs to be in our efficiency. Our value needs to be in our loyalty. Our value needs to be in the comfort, the words of affirmation we speak when things aren't looking great. And these are the things we need to be expecting from men, not just money. Because if there's money, money will always be there. But what you really should be holding a man to the fire for is his time. Is his ability to comfort and encourage when you are down. There has to be an expectation on both sides that we are pouring into each other's cup and we are not depleting from each other. These are the things that are valuable in a relationship. Because let me tell you something, a money maker is always going to make money. Now, I have to address this because I know when I post this video, I'm going to open the comments and a woman or 10 is going to say, oh, but you will do all this and you'll build a man and then he'll leave you when he gets up. Stop picking those kind of men. That's why I was very clear to say a man that is actively trying to become successful is actually trying to make something of himself. Because a lot of women will pick up men who really are ready to coast on her coattails and then be like, oh, but he didn't do anything. And then he'll leave you for someone better. Or if he happens to hit the jackpot, then he'll leave you because he never liked you that much anyway. Stop picking men who are not showing through their actions on a daily basis that they love, care, and respect you. You don't get to justify this bad decision of complicit prostitution, basically, because the man you picked before did you dirty. I'm not justifying it and I'm not excusing him. What I'm saying is we can't, as women, keep ignoring red flags and then be upset when we don't escape the consequences of ignoring those red flags. And yes, I understand some men are just complete psychos, so tough in this dating scene. But do your best, do your due diligence, and let God do the rest. Now, like I always say, there's always an exception to the rule. For best results, assume it's not you. Mwah.
All right. So I had to think about this. I said, okay, let me really break this down, right, in bullet points. I got to get all this straight in my head. All right, so women want a man to be attractive, tall, make 6 or 7 figures, even though most women do not make that themselves, right? Okay. While he's out here making all this money, all these 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 figures, he better be home in time to give all his attention and take her on all the dates, or else she'll cheat. Women want a man to call, but not too much. Text back, but don't text back too fast, because then he's like weird and he's a lame. And if he's nice, he's a lame. If he's mean, he's unattainable. He's a challenge, and then women want him, even if they will not admit it. I hear women say all the time, like, I just want my man to be honest. But when he's honest, they blow up, freak out, label him mean, toxic, abusive, and of course, a narcissist. Most women do not really want honesty. They want comfort. You want a man to tell you what you want to hear, not what's going to help you grow. And speaking of growth, try pointing out just one thing that she needs to work on, and you will see exactly why most women cannot take accountability for shit. You want a man to be emotionally available, but if he shows any emotion, then he's soft. You want him to lead, but when he does, now he's aggressive and controlling and abusive. You want him to initiate sex and affection, but when he does, you turn it down. But when he stops trying, then you say he's cheating or he's gay. Women want undivided attention, but if he gives it to you, then he's sucking the life out of you. He won't give you space. You can't breathe. He's lame and he's annoying. Then you turn around and cheat with the guy that's going to treat you like a whore and who looks at you as such. Women don't even realize the guy who's just trying to hit. They just look at the guy who's trying to build as the red flag. I'm confused. I don't think I will ever understand any of this, and I am a woman.
Absolutely insane how much women expect from men that they're only dating. Men in the early dating stages do not owe you anything. Only thing a man owes you is connection, compatibility, a little bit of attention, but you're not his woman yet. Why does he have to pay your bills, pay you gifts, take you out on expensive dates? Prove that he can earn your love? That's absolutely wild how some women act in the early dating stages. Men don't owe you anything. They have other responsibilities, bills as well. However, if you're his woman, then he can spoil you. You should never expect it. I'm just saying, women have a convoluted idea of how dating should be and what dating actually is about. Absolutely wild. Absolutely insane. Men don't owe you anything while dating.
Let's get into it. I honestly feel bad for the men of this generation. The younger guys, like in their early 20s, in their early 30s or whatever, and say they don't have a very prominent career, such as like in finance, because I used to work in finance. So I know how much finance men really make in investment finance. That's what I'm talking about, okay? That's where we used to work. I know those men make upwards of $200 and something plus $1,000 a year, okay? Not every man will make that amount of money. And if there is men that make that kind of money, it's very limited, okay? So I think it's so crazy that this young women, this young ladies of this generation is expected for a man to make $300,000 plus in a major city. You get what I'm saying? To take care of a family and all that. Not every man is going to make that amount of money. A man nowadays barely making $45,000, especially if he's black. I really think women are asking for a little bit too much from men. And y'all gonna be mad, but I really don't care because y'all need to hear the truth. Sometimes I honestly don't blame our men for going out and dating other races of women because let me tell you something. I grew up around those different women who came from very rich families, extremely wealthy. I'm talking filthy rich, probably richer than what you probably think. My parents had me surrounded by those kids, had me surrounded by those. Y'all don't even get it. Y'all think finding a man that rich, that has a legit career, legit, in STEM or something like that where he's making over 150 grand, okay? Y'all really think that's an easily accessible man? No, they're not. If you didn't grow up doing horseback riding classes, if you didn't grow up doing cooking classes, my mother had me in cooking classes with all the little white kids, all of them growing up. Because their parents taught them that. Y'all are missing that when you are born to be, honestly, a housewife and to live that lifestyle, you have to grow up seeing those things. It's just not going to come to you without you seeing those things. Now, granted, there are some women that just, luck up on a really high value, rich man. And, that's just not his money and things like that. It's a bunch of other components that go into it. You get what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is, I honestly feel so bad for these guys, especially our men. Other men, you know, I have friends of all races. Other men, they can make them a smooth 50K, 55,000, and their white wife will be so happy because she's like, well, I'm working too, and you know, she takes so much pride into her man. And I feel like with black men sometimes, with this generation of girls, like the girl that got mad with the $30 for lunch, my man sent me money that same day. That same amount. And I went to Kava and I ate that for lunch and I ate it for dinner because I don't eat that much no way. Okay? It's just like, y'all are expecting men to make more than what they actually will make in the black community. If we're going to be real, if he's not in the top profession, he ain't making a lot of money. People just need to find somebody that they love and forget what people tell you and just find who you love and be happy with that person. Stop trying to be like somebody else. Stop trying to live the life that you see on social media because sometimes that ain't even realistic. Okay? I think y'all just need to give the person that's in your lane a shot because sometimes people try to go outside their lane, and I'm gonna be real with you. That ain't gonna work. You need to stay within your lane and stay within the men that you can date. But I don't know. I just thought about that, and I'll never treat my boyfriend like that. I just,